This conference will now be recorded.
Was I on mute the whole time?
Yeah, we muted so our current conversation.
Over. Nice job, guys.
So I just want to be clear. Bill, is this currently in court?
No one has
Is he
been,
charged?
no
No, stop.
charges have been pressed against
Is
anyone.
he currently
How do you have
being
authority to
charged?
tell her to stop?
Here's the thing.
You're not an
If-
official.
If he is currently being in court,
He's not, he hasn't been charged with anything.
we have a letter from the attorney. Let him read it.
Go ahead and read it.
Okay, prior to 2020, there appears to have been an informal traffic sign replacement policy in the town, but there does not appear to have been a formal written policy. In June of 2020, with the assistance of the town's engineer, the town adopted the town's sign policy, which has been available on the town's website since shortly after its adoption. The goals and purposes of the policy are set forth in the policy, including the safety of the town's roads, uniformity and consistency throughout the town, ensuring compliance with state regulations, the establishment of a standardized replacement program, and the reduction of unnecessary costs to the town's taxpayers. The specific goal of switching from a MnDOT test for sign replacement, which includes a number of criteria established by MnDOT, to a scheduled replacement program was to ensure compliance with the state's retro reflectivity requirements and to ensure replacement within the lifetime of signage for the manufacturer's specifications. The town worked closely with the town's engineer and MnDOT while preparing the policy, and those efforts continue to ensure the town remains in compliance with the updated standards and requirements. The adoption of the policy was adopted by the lack of an existing written policy. Maintenance costs was one of the number of factors taken into consideration when adopting policy. Signs that were subsequently removed were removed in accordance with the policy. With regard to creators and placing signs in town right-of-ways or in view of town right-of-ways, Minnesota statutes provides as follows. No person shall place, maintain, or display upon or in view of any highway any unauthorized sign, signal, marking, or device which purports to be or is an imitation of or resembles an official traffic control device or railroad sign or signal, or which attempts to direct movement of traffic, or which hides from view or interferes with the effectiveness of any official traffic control device, or any railroad sign or signal, and no person shall place or maintain, nor shall any public authority permit upon any highway any traffic sign or signal bearing thereon any commercial advertising. Every such prohibited sign, signal, or marking is hereby declared to be a public nuisance, and the authority having jurisdiction over the highways is hereby empowered to remove the same or cause it to be removed without notice. Rick Anderson placed a number of traffic control signs on or in view of town road right-of-ways on 2 occasions, presumably in violation of Minnesota statutes, section 169.07. Contrary to the assertions made by Mr. Anderson, it does not believe that any of the signs were placed on Mr. Anderson's property. In accordance with the authority granted by the statute referenced above, the town removed the wrongfully placed signs on both occasions. In order to ensure the safety of the traveling public, the town and any other road authority in the state, including Mille Lacs County, must have the authority to remove wrongfully placed traffic control devices that could create confusion and safety hazards. The placement of the signs by Mr. Anderson was referred to the county sheriff. The county attorney confirmed that they have declined prosecution with regards to the placement of the signs. Additionally, Minnesota townships have limited authority to control speed limits on township roads. The Minnesota Department of Transportation largely controls the setting of speed limits. The basic speed rule, which applies to all roads, is that no person shall drive a vehicle at a speed greater than is reasonable and prudent under the conditions. Drivers are assumed to be aware of actual and potential hazards, and their speed must be restricted to avoid collision. The speed limit on township roads is generally 55 miles per hour, but townships can establish 30-mile-per-hour zones in urban districts, which are areas built up with structures at intervals of less than 100 feet. 35-mile-per-hour zones in rural residential districts, which are areas with dwellings situated at intervals in averaging 300 feet or less per quarter mile or more, and 25-mile-per-hour zones on residential roadways, which are roads of less than 1/2 mile in total length. There are statutory requirements that must be met and followed in order to establish lower speed limits. Townships do not have authority to place lower speed limit signs on a township road. Townships can also request a speed study to be determined by MnDOT if the township believes that speed is greater or lesser than is reasonable or safe under existing conditions. However, MnDOT establishes the speed limit under completion of the study, and it cannot be changed without MnDOT's approval. That is came from our attorney today.
So what does that support?
That supports the fact that we have the right to remove illegal signs.
So
And those are
instead of
deemed
that,
illegal.
instead of that gravel road being 30 miles an hour, you thought it'd be safer at 55?
It's not up to us to determine. That's the state of Minnesota.
You could have
Statutory.
left it.
No, we can't. Legally,
No.
we
Yes, you
cannot.
can.
No, it's a
Every
very-
other township, every other township in the area, Greenbush told you not to touch their signs.
We didn't.
Right. They're smart enough to leave their signs the way they are, at least until they're at the end of their
If
useful life.
they're not in legal compliance, that's up to them. We are in legal compliance now.
Okay.
With the law.
The other thing is too, it's a blanket policy, so we have a 30-mile-an-hour sign over here. We have to have a 30-mile-an-hour sign over. It's got to be uniform across the township.
So we can't even sign gravel roads at 30 miles an hour. This is a traffic study done, and there was not a traffic study done ever on that road.
Or an engineer study. Right.
There probably wasn't. You're probably right. There probably never was one. I couldn't find one that they had one when the original signs were placed.
And you never had one done when you took them down.
We had an informal engineering study, probably more than what was done when they were originally installed.
And what informal, what does that mean? That means you talked to your buddy Todd McLeod and said, hey, can we take these down? Me and Tom want to get paid $25 an hour to go do this. Do you mind? Did you collect any bids to have the signs taken down instead of just taking it upon yourselves to go do it?
It is the road authority's job to take the signs down. The road authority is the board.
And he can hire as many people to do it as he wants. There's no say by the township as to how much money Bill spends to go take down signs time after time after time.
If they keep popping up, we have to remove them. That's our obligation as a board.
Why were the signs taken down in the first place? Was it just because they weren't on any of our documentations of signs being there?
They're illegal signs. If they're showing a real speed limit, that's not a legal speed limit. That's an illegal sign, plain and simple. It's just, we don't have the opportunity to post a sign that says 5 miles an hour because we like people who go really slow fast in their driveway. It says very
So even though
specifically in
Greg
the
had
law,
these
so-
signs custom made and riders on them that said not official, and they were posted on private property, out of the right of way, that gives you guys permission to trespass onto private property, destruct a fence, private property, and steal signs.
It says
We have the
specifically,
authority to remove signs.
Do you think your attorney would
If they
approve
were-
that?
if they are in view of the road and imply that it's a legal sign, it is the township's responsibility to remove it, yes.
And does the lowest
That's very-
responsible bidder requirement not apply
Well,
to
we
this
don't
kind
have
of
to
work?
make a bidder requirement for, we don't have to bid anything unless it's over $100,000.
It's $175,000, and that's not true. It needs to be sealed. A sealed bid presented at an open meeting if you go above $175,000.
So what's your point?
My point is you trespassed, stole private property, destructed a private fence, ambushed someone at 8:30 at night when you knew he'd be getting home from work, and then made up some bullshit for the Star Tribune, lied to them about who was in the Bobcat, Joel Minks. What did Joel Minks and Dave Persing have to do with any of this? Your witnesses?
Yep.
Your backup in case badass Greg was gonna beat you up?
No,
Because he punched you in the chest with his finger?
he
And
also
knocked the
tried-
phone out of your hand, interrupted a 911 call? I have that 911 call where you say goodbye.
I wasn't even able to make the call because it was not out of my hands.
So that was a bullshit claim that
No,
he
it wasn't.
interrupted a
No, it
911
was
call.
not. I was dialing the number.
You got him arrested that night by telling the deputy that you were calling 911 and he knocked the phone out of your hand. Yeah, true?
They were
True.
witnesses.
I know there were witnesses. I have all of the reports. I have the video that you posted, that you shared with the deputies. I've got all of it. What is the point of this? You are afraid of your life from Greg, but yet you go there knowing he would be there. Isn't this something your attorney could have handled? You file a complaint, some deputies tell Greg to take his signs down, or are there when you're taking them down at an appropriate time of day. You don't have much to say, Bill.
I'm not on trial.
You kind of are, because it's going to trial, so you might as well practice. What is your reasoning for doing it?
Because we're the road authority and it's our job to maintain the signs on the roads.
And so when
our
someone
authority.
has threatened you in the past, you thought it was a good idea to go there and do it anyway for the second time.
So it's okay that Greg threatens, but.
I'm not defending his behavior at all.
There you go.
Hi,
You just admitted that he threatens people.
it's in the report he threatened him. If somebody comes on your property, you're not gonna tell them to get the F off?
I've seen all the time.
We're all here to see who, we need to watch from taking our signs now.
Right. And if it's illegal, do you first ask them to take it down first, or do you just go trespass and take it
We're the
down?
road authority. It's our job to
Ooh.
maintain.
But if they're doing something illegal, shouldn't you cordially
It's our township's
just
responsibility
to barge in and take
to
out?
take down illegal signs or to replace signs that are marked. Clearly stated in the statutes. It's as clear as can be in statutes.
So you knew that they were gonna go do that night and you're okay with it?
You didn't know about it.
I do know.
Going back to my question, were some signs taken down because they weren't on any of our, like our 2008 sign plan? Because we didn't have any documentation of those signs?
The speed limit signs were taken down purely because they're illegal.
I'm talking about other signs. This whole packet you had.
Yeah, there were numerous ones.
Yeah, and those were taken down because we had no record of even having those signs.
Right.
They're extraneous signs.
What's that?
They're extraneous signs. They're not supposed to be there. That's why we went from 295
Yeah.
to 110 because
Well, who put them signs up initially then?
We don't know.
Gene, you've been here forever, you must know.
well, the county with John Roxbury put most of them up back in 08. The township.
That
got
was
a
through a
grant.
joint venture.
The township got a grant from.
And then the county went in,
Just blowing more money left than right.
But
the
we
county went in,
Pay to
put
get
them
them out,
signs
pay to put
in
them in.
through a joint venture with other counties. It was a grant, or other townships. It was a grant. And they have all the documentation of those signs in.
A lot of the reason those signs got removed is because you could not read them. They're so faded.
Where are they now?
So
In the shop.
replace them.
Can we see them?
Come on, Joe, I'll take you back.
You take a
Anybody else want
picture,
to go
Joe?
back there?
There's
Take
a whole
those
wall
over
here.
Anybody wants to follow me back to the shop?
The keys,
Keys.
Well, we have to go out, right?
No.
you can't get into this. You can't get into this.
So,
Bill.
Can't use penny.
Mr. DOT.
I have checked the old records, and the closest thing we have is them saying someone said there's someone speeding on their road, and they'll look into it. That's the closest thing we have for a lot of this stuff. And I look way back.
I was just making the point that the reason why a lot of these signs aren't showing up in our 2008 plan is because Mille Lacs County put them in and they have the documentation of it.
have you seen the signs though yourself?
No, I haven't.
Well, why don't you walk out to the shop with them so you know what
Okay,
you're talking
well, if
about?
they're shot, replace them.
Well, go out and.
But they're not our, it's not our job to replace a road sign that's like a county road.
But if they were put up with state grant money,
Money's
and all the
there.
appropriate
We,
things have to be done to be able to put them up.
Yeah, it's not like Mille Lacs County just went in willy-nilly and just put random signs up. They had to have a study done or something.
But it's not our job to replace them.
But they're on township roads, correct?
The ones we replaced are there. But not the illegal signs. We're not replacing the illegal signs. It's that simple. If it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit sign.
There's
on a
more than
gravel road,
just
it's not-
speed limit
it's not a
signs
legal
taken
sign.
down.
They've been
That's my
taken down.
point.
They're being taken down.
Stop signs aren't needed, John.
Isn't it a conflict of interest for him to be the road director and him to get paid to take the signs out, being on the board? That would be a conflict of interest according to the board money. In another township I work for, they wouldn't allow that. A town board member could not do work.
We have
And
it
get paid
signed,
for it.
we have it signed that every township board member is allowed $25 an hour for doing roadside maintenance in our stuff.
But that's a conflict of interest, isn't it, by the
Yeah.
tax money?
Yes.
I mean, you can sign whatever you want, but it's our money. And that's conflict of interest.
So if we go
Because I
that, but
work
we
with-
also had a township chairman who ran an automotive repair business that repaired township equipment.
Okay, I'm not talking about Greg.
It's the same,
I'm not talking about.
That has nothing to do with
If
it.
Greg was wrong, Greg was wrong. We're talking about right now.
we haven't.
Maybe Greg was wrong too, I don't know, but
We haven't passed.
I know I've worked for townships and a town board member cannot do a job unless it is bid through some other company because it's conflict of interest.
Talking about contract.
Does Dan have a pass with this, Tom?
What's that?
Does Dan have a
Yeah,
pass?
but he's getting paid for it.
Does Dan have a pass with Greg?
Not until he got on the board, then I realized.
Why did he go?
He didn't know about it.
Do you know?
He just said that. I didn't know about it.
Right. So I don't everybody on the board know about it.
Nor did John.
I was told about it, but I already had 2 board members going and.
So 2 guys that have a problem with Greg are sent out to go take these signs down?
We had the same problems anyway.
At 8:30 at night.
Yeah, why was it done so late? That's what floors me. Could have been done anytime.
Maybe these guys have jobs.
Yeah, but hey, how late do you work? 5, 9 to 5 job?
No, I get home about 7:30 every night.
You guys pay people to follow the roads. Why can't you pay somebody to pull the signs if it's that important?
We did the first round,
Right, why
and
didn't
they
you
didn't
use
want
them
to do it
again?
the second round.
Then you find somebody else.
So you have an attorney, have it forced down, not go out there yourselves. Right? Doesn't that make more sense? You have a problem with a resident. Wouldn't you have an attorney do this? Handle it the legal way rather than go ram your way through it and get them down again?
We tried.
You did. How?
Am I not mistaken? Did we not?
How did
Yeah.
you try?
There was letters written, we gave, I tried to hand something to Greg. and
You
he
tried
wouldn't
to hand him the statute, but no, nothing from an attorney.
take- Yeah, that's from the attorney.
Where's this letter from the attorney?
It's right.
You tried to hand him something out on the gravel road? That's not really official
right-
legal work,
right
is
when,
it?
Right when the deputies were there, when he slapped it out.
Oh my God. Can't see it. I can't see a thing.
They would not pass the reflectivity.
This one will. Brought everything. Brought a little bit of everything.
Oh my God.
It was easily 2 to 1.
And this one lets you.
That's all with that one.
Yeah. Did you do the reflectivity test, Gene?
All right,
Oh.
Did you have the reflectivity test done, Gene?
what's that?
Did you have the reflectivity test done? on
They
these?
have never had.
We have never done that because it would cost more than the cost of the sign.
That's not true. You can borrow it from the county, from the Department of Transportation. You can go borrow their scanner to check the reflectivity. You've never done it?
In 2008, we passed a resolution that the signs would be replaced on a schedule.
Regardless of the rest.
Regardless of reflectivity, yes. We
So that
ignored
needs
that
to be
because
changed,
at that
right?
time, the cost would have been prohibitive.
It's a 12.
can
So
go
you
back
knew,
to the-
so
you go
you
back
knew
to
that
the-
night that Tom and Bill were going out to do that.
I couldn't go with because that would have been a violation of open meeting law.
But you knew about it.
I knew it was, they were going, yes.
That is a violation of open meeting law.
No,
The three of you talking about it prior,
Just before they left.
the three of you talking about it prior is a violation of
I
the
didn't
open
talk
meeting
to
law.
Thomas. I never talked to Thomas.
It doesn't matter. The three of you talked about doing this prior to doing it.
I left.
That is a violation of the open meeting law, is it not, Dan? John?
No, it's not. Open meeting law is all
Okay,
three people
legal
have to.
secretary.
I am actually on the commission for the city of Princeton. And yes, in my instructions, when I became a commissioner, was three of us cannot sit in the same room and discuss city business. Three of us, which is quorum to them. These guys would be three. Three of them would have to be in the same room. Right? Same for the commissioners up in
The open meeting law,
We can't.
wrong.
go ahead, Barry, Junior.
That's because you guys,
No,
the county's different because the county does not have the number of people we do.
no.
You guys, yours is half plus one, so three of you are in the
It's a
same
form of
room.
the governmental body. It doesn't matter how many there are.
No,
Three,
it's half plus one.
Does not have to be in the same room.
I have, no, yes.
electronic, phone calls, text messages, emailing.
Yep, but in this case, they weren't all on the phone at the same time.
No.
You have to all be on the same
They
phone, because I
pre-planned
can
it
call
ahead of time.
each one of the people on the commissioner board and talk to them
And
about
let the
something.
two out that actually get along with Greg. That's what happened.
So you have time to
Why
do
don't you go
this.
take the signs out? That wouldn't have been a conflict of interest,
Okay,
would
we're
it?
good. This is going nowhere. We'll ask somebody else to step in or.
Well, no, I want to hear the answers.
Can you see how many people are upset about this? And it's not just this time.
begun too here.
You can expect to see us every month. What's that?
Residents of Princeton Township. How many people are residents of Princeton Township? Just kidding.
Okay. Do non-residents not count?
I didn't say it, I'm just asking.
The people that travel these roads don't count?
My grandkids are on these roads. And so my children are here, that safety matters. Even if it means putting up extra signs everywhere.
That's right.
I have a question.
Busy or not busy.
My question is, if cost was the issue, which we're all,
Cost was
not
only a
maybe all,
minor
but
factor.
professing cost was the issue. And you have somebody in the community that's willing to put their own money towards public safety. It doesn't make sense that cost was the issue. It makes it very clear to me this was a personal vendetta. That's all it looks to me. And that's my opinion. I'm just saying, you know, I explain to me, if cost was the issue, why did these signs that you can see very clearly have to come down, and why in particular did Greg's have to come down, and why at 8:30 at night? That's the three questions I'd like to get an answer to right now.
The resolution in 2008 was that we would replace the signs on a time schedule. It didn't make any difference how fit the signs were, because we did not want to go through the cost of their reflectivity every year.
But he
I
was
think
That's
willing.
why
the
we.
key word there is replace.
What's that?
I said the key word, you said it, replace.
Not taking down, yeah, come down.
Not this truck.
Cost, that's the paying money. That's what you said wasn't the major factor.
No,
So you
the
just said
major
wasn't
factor
the
is
factor.
if a sign is illegal, which is a speed limit sign, or shouldn't be there for nuisance, because you can put 500 signs up in a quarter mile, people would be so busy reading, they wouldn't see you.
So cost wasn't the issue then.
Cost was not the only
Has
issue.
anybody here read the traffic sign policy?
I think
Has anybody else?
I have,
Anybody else? Who's read the policy?
I saw it online.
Did you read it?
what about it?
Did anybody read it?
What about it?
You just asked if they read it.
What are you proving?
So the policy in here states the multiple reasons why they were removed. One of them happens, did you read what came from our engineer?
Why did you remove them the second and third time?
Because they're illegal. How many times do we have to say it?
If it's illegal, isn't it a matter for the courts?
No, it's not.
No,
because
you're just
we're-
gonna go out there and
we're
let
the
Greg
road
poke you in
authority.
the chest and cry like a baby.
You reflect back to the
Uh-huh.
engineer, but yet you've got no proof that you paid an engineer to do this. Again,
Bill,
you're going by
legal
your
reasons.
word. and you're going off of
So this was what
self-gain for the
Todd
money.
McCall said. He attended a
How
traffic
much other
sign
stuff is
seminar
done
last
on the
fall
road?
hosted by Min LTAP and Howard Preston, one of the top sign guys in the country. You may be able to find the seminar online at Min LTAP, Minnesota's best practices for traffic sign maintenance and management. Now, this is what put us into why we were doing the sign policy. Drivers and attorneys are getting smarter when it comes to accidents and traffic signs and liability. And the state is finding that there are too many signs. Therefore, MN, and the MnMUT CD manual of uniform traffic control devices, is promoting less signs is better. Per MnMUT CD, only 5 regulatory signs are required. Speed limit signs, if different than statutory, one way or do not enter, turn prohibited, all way stop, supplemental plaque, a stop or a yield at railroad crossings. That's all that we're required to have. Yes, it's correct. Stop signs are not required. MnMUT CD states that stop signs should be used on the result of an engineering study. Minnesota statute 16930 also says that normally it's desirable to erect stop signs on public entrances to highways. We kept all the stop signs that are accessing county roads and state highways, and we kept all 4-way stops. For low volume rural roads, less than 400 ADT, which is all of our roads except for some of the higher collector ones, such as township roads, the only sign that is required is a stop sign or a yield sign at a railroad crossing. Retroreflectivity. Minnesota has adopted Federal Highway Administration rules for retroreflectivity. All regulatory warning and guide signs and object markers are required to be retroreflective. These signs need to maintain and replace when not effective anymore. Assessment methods. Visual nighttime measurements. This takes time and training. It's hard to be consistent when multiple people are involved and different vehicles are used. Measured site reflectivity. This takes time and is costly. One must buy or rent a reflectivity meter or hire a company to do the testing. My conversations with MnDOT on this is that testing is tedious. For a stop sign, one must take 10 tests and average the result for each color, red, white, red and white. So you see that there is time and money involved. So the management method for the expected life is at that time 10 to 15 years, but I've got information from the manufacturer that it's a 12-year life cycle. Each sign is dated and replaced at the end of its life cycle. And then there's a blanket replacement, which is what we chose to do. We're going to be talking about that more tonight. When the county replaces all the township signs 2 years ago, he urged the township to adopt the blanket replacement method for managing and maintaining their signs. I promoted that they break up the township into areas and start sign funds so that every I call it a 15-year cycle, the township replaces those signs. This would be just the panels, not the posts. This is the way. This is why they will cost. This way they will cost and can plan for it. Okay. No testing is required, and you don't have to keep track of individual sign installations. No action was taken as far as he knows. His recommendation is that the township should adopt the sign policy and management policy. There are numerous sample policies out there as a guide. MnDOT tort law provides protection for claims of negligence called discriminatory immunity for actions that are consistent with policies adopted by the public agency. I'm not sure that the township has one. So our goal for what we did last year was to protect the township from tort claims. And that's what we did. I've met with Todd McClough multiple times. I called MnDOT multiple times, and I spoke with them on all this. And in the effort to try to save the township money, we did an informal study and pulled this together. This went back and forth multiple times with myself and the engineer. This isn't just something we pulled out of thin air.
It said replace them every 15 years, not take them down.
Yeah.
That's only part of it. The other part of it was the fact that we had yield signs in some locations. We had pedestrian signs in the exact same setup in the township that were residential areas. We didn't have them in other residential areas. So if your little girl got hit on the road because there wasn't a pedestrian sign over here, but there was over here, guess what? You become to sue the township because we didn't have it equal. We didn't have them consistent throughout the township. That's what you just told me. So
I
what we're
didn't
trying to,
say, no,
no, what I'm saying is.
I didn't tell you anything.
You were.
I did
worried
not
about
tell
your
you
kids.
anything just
Okay.
now. So don't say
The
that.
point is that the reason we did this was to protect the township from tort claims. And then we got somebody on the southeast, southwest corner of the town who thinks he can just make up his own laws and own rules.
If he was always concerned about safety, why would they not communicate with that person first before just ripping the signs down?
He was on the board when this was discussed at 3 meetings.
He was
So for
reelected for 23 years.
So for him to claim that he doesn't know
Somebody likes
what's
what he's
going on is not true, because he was at those meetings.
So you're more worried about a lawsuit than public safety is exactly what you're saying. We want to prevent a lawsuit and we're going to take the child crossing sign down
If you were to,
because we're worried about a
If you were
lawsuit.
to
That's
read-
exactly what you're saying.
if you were to read the manuals that MnDOT has, more signs do not make things safer. In fact, many times it does the opposite. You guys go and read it. I'm just telling you, these are the studies that are done out there.
So I was just wondering, like, for the example where you said 30 mile per hour in a dirt road, where that's not necessarily like statutory or legal per se, is there a way for a resident to like petition to MnDOT or someone to have it approved on an individual basis? Or is there any flexibility there? Or
The only way that a township can get a speed study done is by a resolution from the board requesting that a speed study be done. And they basically told me they will not do a speed study on a gravel road because gravel roads they kind of control themselves. Because if there's potholes or they're not doing that, they're just in poor condition, people are going to drive for the safety of the road. And, excuse me?
Or if they're in perfect condition.
Yeah. If they're in perfect condition, then it's the statutory speed limit is 55 miles an hour. So that's where we're at. The speed limit signs that were installed and that were out there from 2020 were never on. They were never on any of our road plans. I checked with MnDOT. Ken Hansen said there's never been a traffic study on that road. And any signs that were placed out there were to be removed immediately.
For who?
Hmm?
For who?
For MnDOT. And I actually asked the county to remove them the first time. And they said, we're not the road authority, you guys are the road authority, it's up to you.
So you knew the county put them there.
I didn't say that.
You just said you asked the county to
I
remove
asked the
them.
county to remove the speed limit signs that
Just
were
because
illegally
they owe you a
placed.
favor?
No, because I knew the situation and how violent Greg Anderson is.
You like trespassing, Bill?
So you opted to go out there to his house?
No.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, so if a police officer has to pull somebody over for speeding in a speed zone, is he like being a thug or something? It's just like it's my job.
Sometimes that's.
So there's time.
That's a good question.
Well, it would have only took one person to remove a sign.
Huh?
It only takes one person to remove a sign. You don't take 4.
There wasn't 4 people. That removed them.
2 witnesses
Yeah.
in case they
The
got
county
violent.
ended up being 4 there.
No, I'd set up the county with the sheriff's office ahead of time.
That's entrapment. That's entrapment, buddy.
Yep,
Yeah.
yes, it is. I'm glad this is recorded.
It's getting somebody to do something they wouldn't normally do.
That's right.
Why weren't you out
I was one of the witnesses.
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
You were a witness?
I was a witness.
Are you Dave?
I am.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I know what you, okay. I'll check my signs from you too.
Right. So I have a question about the not having the verbiage on it, not official and being on private property. What difference, how does that?
Yeah.
When a sign
If it's in view of the
shows not
road.
Official.
As
The
the road,
township right away is within 33 foot of the center line of the road.
Right, and they were measured and put past that,
measured by who?
the installer, the
Does he
person
have-
Greg
does he have a
hired
surveying
to.
light? Does he
Did you
understand?
guys survey it before? you
Al
did that?
Tetlin measured it,
Okay, that's great.
and
But
they
we-
had, so the sheriff's department has record of them measuring from the center line.
Okay, that's fine.
So it was private property,
The sign said not official.
and they couldn't be mistaken for official signs because they said not official.
So if I wanted my road to be 80 mile an hour, all I'd have to do is put not official on it.
The thing is he put back the same
You
sign.
probably get paid to do it though.
Yeah.
Jim, how would that fly on the county road if I want to do it out there? I live on two county roads. You think the county's gonna come take them down if I put them outside the right of way?
You put one official on it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's.
There's signs all over my road, slow down, kids, 30 miles an hour.
You're in Princeton, right?
No, I own a home in Princeton, but I'm up in Brainerd on a lake, and there's kids all over. And people aren't out tearing down these 30 mile an hour signs that people put up in their front yard to remind folks to go slow. So Crow Wing County and whatever township I'm in, Lake Edward probably isn't as concerned about lawsuits, they're more concerned about kids and public safety and. Great.
So I guess the point being, you can see the public support for not only being against rogue board members.
How would you describe that as road?
Okay. You went out there at 8:30 at night.
It's 8:30 after we get off work, because we work full-time jobs.
You just said you planned it out with the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Call that afternoon.
Why couldn't you plan it for another day that you didn't have to be there at 8:30 at night?
That's just what worked out for Thomas, too. Thomas and I.
Why not Dan?
Who?
Mr.
Why
Henry.
did he not know that?
She didn't know about it.
Why not a contractor that would have talked with Greg down through it?
A lot of what ifs, I know.
It sounds like it was planned a little different.
There's two people who have very personal confrontations with Greg Anderson, and those were the two that went.
Yeah. that's right.
Pre-planned,
Well,
bringing
I'm actually the
witnesses
road-
along.
I'm the road supervisor, so who else am I supposed to do? Ask. I'm just supposed to advocate my.
Well, you didn't do anything while you were there anyways. Anybody could have driven the truck. Tom was doing all the work, right?
Actually, no, not necessarily.
Tom was pulling them out with his Bobcat. What did you do?
That doesn't really, that's beside the point.
But you got paid $25 an hour to do it.
Worrying about the time is,
I think you guys can't
Totally
ignore the
ridiculous, but-
response here, right?
what's the
You
difference whether
can't
it was
ignore it.
8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night or midnight?
Midnight on my street, I mean.
Yeah, you're working off the road.
On his property.
And,
No,
but the statute says even if it's 100 feet off the
The
road,
statute
It
doesn't
would
give you
still
permission
apply
to
that it's a
trespass
traffic
onto
sign.
private
it
property.
should be removed by the road authority. That's what the statute says.
It says
It
not
doesn't make any
official.
difference. The non-official one couldn't be read.
This is why I say it can be interpreted by either side,
it
and
was
why
not
an attorney
on-
will have
there
to
was
be
nothing
No,
on his
they don't.
property.
filled.
There was nothing on his property.
Deputies measured,
There was nothing on his property.
deputies measured,
I
you
don't care if the deputies
trespassed.
measured. There was nothing on his property.
Okay, so you trespassed on somebody else's property.
There was no trespass signs on there, and the road authority to take those down because they're within view of the road. It says it.
You were
It's
being
clear as
ridiculous.
day in the-
Bill, you trespassed before?
That wasn't trespass.
You don't
That
know?
wasn't
The
trespass.
statute says,
It broke.
the statute says if they're within view of the road, they're to be removed by the
We know what
road
it
authority.
says, we've
It
all
wouldn't
read
make any difference if
it.
it was 200 feet from the road. If it implies that it's a legal sign, they are to be removed by the road authority. That's what the state statute says.
Bill, have you been convicted of trespassing in the past?
No comment.
Yes, you have.
Public knowledge.
Tom, have you been convicted of stealing in the past? Yet these are the two that were approved to go do it.
What are you talking about?
What am I
was
talking
convicted
about?
of trespass?
Violent Greg.
Really?
You guys have the criminal.
Really?
Yes, you were, believe it or not.
Really?
Public knowledge.
Anyone can search your name and find it, Bill.
And it's, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Why did you give no comment then?
Right.
So what is
Why
it?
would you just say no?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is there?
Do you have proof of that?
You're looking for him?
Yes.
I'd like to see it right now.
Okay, well, it's on my phone and
No, I'd like to see it right now because this is a defamation of character.
oh, you want to talk about defamation?
So-
Really?
No, let's not go. I
Oh,
want to see
okay.
that. I want to see that right now.
Where's Mark Woven? Is he here? No? Cindy, are you here? Talk about defamation. You let Mark
Listen.
Woven stand up here and talk shit about Connie and Greg hours upon
I
hours.
still want to see
Don't
that.
you
I
talk to me
still
about
wanna-
defamation of
I
character.
still want to see the document. I want to see it right
You
now.
guys are ridiculous. You especially are extremely corrupt, and your term is up in the spring, and you will be replaced by someone who can do this job better than you. You hear that?
I agree.
Say it again.
I call for your resignation right now, Bill Whitcomb, as well as you as Thomas Moody.
Third.
So I have a question for all of you right now. Where were you?
Got the mute on?
Oh, no, it's not. Actually, if you'd like to know, Greg Anderson threatened me the night I put the camera in this room. He threatened me and
You guys
said,
took the cameras down after
No.
you left.
no, we did not.
You did.
So who's been filming since 2019 July?
Oh, you're talking about just the meeting. I'm talking about the surveillance in the building that you took down after
No.
he was gone.
Oh, no, that
No.
hard drive's in our attorney's possession.
That's all different.
Right, but you can still put another hard drive in and keep the cameras up, right?
No,
We didn't take it down.
we don't know where it all went. Because I can't even hook it back up. That's not the point. So the point is, there was an annual meeting. There was an annual meeting in June. Where were you?
I was there.
Yes. Barry, I can say you were there. Were you there? I was.
I'm not a resident.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You are?
What kind of film though?
I had that posted everywhere to make sure everyone knew about that meeting.
Yeah.
But you watched it.
I'm not a resident.
I have filmed this meeting since July 2019, trying to get residents to know what's going on.
And because no one showed up, they get away with anything.
No, no,
they
no,
want.
no.
That's the
Alright.
point.
No,
We're getting absolutely nowhere. It's time to.
I think you need
move
to
on.
address Casey's concern.
you can't make a motion.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak to open forum?
Are you gonna ignore Casey?
Yes.
Yes, for 2 resignations.
That's out of order.
Why?
How is that out of order?
This is a board meeting.
Open forum is to express your concerns. They don't actually need to talk back to you. That is what open forum is for. In our ordinances, that's what it's for. It's so you guys can come up and say, this is our concern. Them giving you an answer back is completely on them. That is why we have open forum. Now, when the road comes up in 20 paces of the agenda, that's the time for it. Sorry, I don't mean to talk out of turn. I just,
John, was it voted on to hire Andrea?
Doesn't have to.
no.
The deputy clerk is hired by the clerk treasurer.
So Doug hired Andrea.
Pardon?
Doug hired Andrea?
Yes, I did.
How many people did you interview for that
I
position?
don't have to interview anybody
So you just picked her because,
because she was willing to do it.
And experience.
You know, we don't have people clamoring in through the door to take over this job.
I get it, but you didn't publish it either.
Yes,
You
you
don't have to
Don't have to.
publish
No,
it.
he didn't.
Yes, you did.
Stop typing in with answers you don't know.
People,
It was.
all right. This is so far beyond ridiculous, I can't even
Yeah, where's the
describe.
financial
Stop.
documents that I asked you
Let
for?
me
You
speak.
Other people have asked for that.
Let
asked for the
me
financials to see
speak.
what these guys make off the township, and you haven't gotten those to me. I asked for them 3 weeks ago.
You didn't come back after I came back. from
You took my
vacation.
phone number and email so you could get them to me.
All right,
I'm
this is
not gonna
enough.
send them out.
You're not
You
gonna,
want-
you
And we
can
can just
contact me. I came back the next week and you were conveniently on vacation. The week
conveniently,
that
yeah. I
Greg got
just-
arrested.
I just-
Is there any further open forum? If not, we'll close.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
supposed to come here and tell you guys that nobody lives in my shed.
Okay, I assume you're there across the
I
road.
live right down there. Nobody lives in my goddamn shed.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Okay,
I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than tell you that.
okay.
Thank you.
I believe Mr.
I think,
Richards will be
I think, were you the one that called me as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody lives there.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further open forum, we will close that and move on to Clerk-Treasurer Report.
Is there anyone else?
I called you twice before.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So what is the legal way if they do want signs out there? I understand that it's because it's an ag zone that they can't get the signs that they want as part of the problem. But if they wanted to have it rezoned into a residential type of then the state statutes change. Is that correct?
That is correct. If it's a residential area, we can sign it at 35 if we pass a resolution. But we want to keep that consistent with the rest of the township.
And then at township meeting in the spring, when the residents run the meeting, that's when they can make their own motion to ask for a township-wide speed study or whatever it needs to be, or if it's for their zone.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know that would even meet 35 because it doesn't have driveways close enough.
I
That's
understand
one.
that, but at least it runs the process, which it hasn't to date. It never ran to have the signs put up to begin with.
Right.
Therefore, there wouldn't really require a speed study to take them down. And I think what you read to us from the state, it said in order to put a stop sign up, you need a speed study done, but not necessarily to take one down. It didn't talk about anything about moving signs requiring a speed.
No.
All right, we'll move on to Clerk Treasurer Report, cash control statement.
Okay, cash control statement. General fund beginning balance, 24,103.56. Receipts of 93,824.90. As I reported last month, that was from the county allocation from the township portion of the property tax. Total dispersed, 25,049.15, ending balance of 92,439.31. The road and bridge beginning balance, 220, $14.32, total receipts of 95,649.37. Dispersed 60,989.24 for an ending balance of 254,674.45. And that is cash control. And I will distribute this once the if cash control is approved, that is for your signature.
Any question about cash control statement? If not, I entertain a motion to accept.
So move to approve.
Motion has been made to approve cash control statement. Is there a second?
Second though.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the cash control statement. Is there any further discussion? Any questions? If there are no questions, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to accept the cash control statement, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion is carried. Next item is the July payroll.
Okay, the total regular earnings, total payroll for July was $5,097.50. And you have, I believe you have the register, right? Yeah. Do you have any questions about it?
Can we ask questions about it?
No.
Not me specifically. How much were Bill and Tom paid on July 22nd to remove the sign?
What, $25?
I put down 2 hours for myself.
Yep, same here.
Any rental equipment?
No, because that was strictly a one-time only for brush cutting road ditches.
So $100 for the two of you?
Any questions about, other questions about payroll? Not, I entertain a motion to accept the payroll.
Moved.
And a second,
Second.
motion has been made and second to accept the payroll. Claims, is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to accept the July payroll, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. Motion carried. Claims for approval,
The total claims for approval of $57,757.81. The big item on this is has construction for their work on the roads. There are about total of somewhere in the neighborhood of, well, there's two invoices, one for $5,812.50 and the other for $29,382.50 for the road work that they did. Those are the major ones, plus $9,418 for Minnesota dust control. Those are the biggest ones.
And then where was that gravel placed? Out of curiosity, was it just kind of all over the
It's
township?
primarily, we focused on the north end this year. So it's on 65th and 90th and 105th over here. Primarily what we had discussed at the January meeting.
Okay, just trying to get some clarification.
is there any further discussion on the claims for approval?
There is a second one that I need to point out. There was an individual claim for $55 for postage, because I had to buy that before the beginning of the month. I didn't want to take off on vacation and leave short postage here, so I went and got a roll of stamps to make sure that we were covered. That was paid for with the township debit card. And because it was on the previous month, it's on a separate claim for approval. So there's two of them here.
So, question on the receipts and just distributments here. Out of curiosity, why are some of these showing up? We got Parasol Escrow, there's nothing there. Studebaker Escrow, there's nothing there. Is it just?
Those have
because it's
been
on-
paid off.
But is it because it's on the calendar year that they still show up?
Yeah, I mean, they just, they just carry over.
Yeah, I see there's a zero balance on, that's why I'm just asking why.
Yeah, those were voted prior months and approved for payback.
We're working on it right now, so we're in touch with Absolute Septic, they're coming out and.
Any further questions?
Okay.
If not, we entertain a motion to accept the claims for approval.
I've moved the motion.
And is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded to approve the claims for approval. Any further discussion? Further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to accept the claims for approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion is carried.
Okay, just for information purposes, the Minnesota Association of Townships District 8 meeting and election, I think you should all have gotten this in your packet. This is being conducted by Zoom on August 18th, which is tomorrow. So anyone who wants to participate in that, the links are on there. And second item, on the 22nd, the CD township holds at Bremer Bank will mature. So we would need a motion to continue that for another year. I spoke with Mark O'Lean from the bank. He said there haven't been any changes on it. As you recall, last year there was significant change, so we made some changes in the way the investment was entered in order to get a little better interest rate. But basically, I told him as long as we don't have to pay to keep it there, it's probably good. Because,
So a 0.45 interest rate,
yeah,
can you shop that around any?
No.
Is it- It's kind of.
no, there's just nothing, there's nothing out there. It's just, you get, that's just what the banks are paying now on that, because they're losing money on it, frankly, to keep it in there.
Really?
Yeah, their costs of maintaining it are higher than anything they can earn on it.
Okay.
But I did ask him if there was a way to improve on that. He said it's just a condition that the market is in right now.
Okay.
Just a quick comment on the district meeting. Lori Soccer has resigned from MAT board. So
Right.
there is an opening if anybody wishes to throw their name in the ring for district director.
Yeah, she went to the office. She took a job at the MAT office.
I'm sure he may have resigned.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about Sherry. I know Lucinda Methman has left, and she's not a trainer anymore, so they've got some staff change over there.
I think specifically an administrative assistant, I believe is she's. So if anybody's interested, they can contact the state office probably tomorrow and probably put you on the track where you'd have a chance to become a district director. Okay. We need, I suppose we should have a motion on whether to keep the township, the CD at Bremer for another year.
I would move that motion to keep it at Bremer for another year.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to maintain the township CD at Bremer maturing 8/22 for another year at 0.45%. Is there any discussion?
One question, did you inquire if we keep it at a longer term? Would it increase at all?
I did not. This particular investment matures every year. And no, I didn't ask that. I didn't ask that question. I seriously doubt it. I don't know if they have anything longer than that. They're just,
Do we have to vote on that tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Well, the maturity date is the 22nd. We just got the notice now. But yeah, if there were, it would be so negligible, it'd be hardly worth.
We're on a time crunch, I'll let it ride, otherwise I was gonna withdraw.
You're not gonna get 4%, I guarantee you.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the township CD at Bremer maturing for one more year. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion is carried.
Okay, just informational, I sent out the 2021 certification from Minnesota Department of Revenue for the township share of revenue. For the year, it was 1,052. We got the first half of that a couple weeks ago. So the balance of that will be coming, I believe, after the first of the year. And then for next year, we'll go up all the way up to 1101. So another $49 next year. Those certifications came through. And finally, the township legal seminar. Couri and Ruppe Law Office, I think you got this in your packet. So if anybody's interested in that, that's in September. And that's
just multiple dates.
Yeah, and it's free. So yeah, it goes all the way into October, so.
And the easiest one to get to would be at the Culvert City Hall on September 16th. Is there any further discussion or anything else?
Nope.
We have no zoning administrators report, old business, status of equipment sale. Mr. Miller?
Sale is complete, went pretty dang close to what I expected it to do. Wholesale brought $99,100. We did our advertising at $447. Kevin talked with Gene after we had had our meeting, and the size of that boom mower and the other stuff, and having to go retrieve the D-plow from Greg's, we felt it would be better to have our lift brought up here. We did not charge any money for the lift being here. We did charge $200. That's what the guy charged us to haul it up here and bring it back to our shops. So there's your check.
Thank you for the work.
I commend you.
Yeah.
When we did the math on it, I did the math. I mean, it's going to sound like we lost a pile of money on that tractor. Realistically, it was about a break even for what we would have rented something for. 1 minute here. Trying to find. I want to say it was like $59 an hour that it cost us to run that tractor for the amount of time. I can find it here. There was a few pieces we lost the money on, one being the snow blower, because we never, quite frankly, got bought and it never got used. It never even got mounted on the tractor since it was in our possession. I can't find it right off the top of my head. I had it all stored and
But when I did this auction, I knew we were gonna take an licking on that brush mower and that snow blower. I knew we were gonna take a licking on them. That road grader was worth a hell of a lot more money than everybody thought.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was worth 15 grand and it brought 33 grand. So that's where I put my neck on the line on that. The mower hurt. I knew it was going to. I did the best I could. I put it on Facebook. I had over 7,000 people look at it on Facebook. We had over 4,100 people look at our online catalog. I put it in the newspaper for anybody that doesn't do Facebook. So I did everything I could for the township to get you guys as much money as I could.
Is that the one on the red tractor?
Yeah.
I found parts all over that thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the bolts and stuff. Really. Yeah.
He lives just out there, I guess. Hey, Bremer.
Yeah.
no, I had it all broke down, what it costs us per hour, but I can't find it right now. But here, yeah, I can just do it right now. Got the hours on it.
Can I ask, so do we have to buy new equipment?
No,
Didn't need it.
it just wasn't getting utilized. In the bids that we're gonna be talking about later on for the ditch mowing, it does not make any sense to have that kind of money tied up into a tractor when we can get done. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, by the time you pay upkeep, maintenance, put somebody in it, fuel, it just doesn't work.
So the tractor, from the day we bought it to what we sold it for, there's a $14,950 difference. I'm not calling it a loss because in the machinery world, it's a whole different aspect. So if you do 14,950, we divide that, it says right here, there's 279 hours on it. It costs us $53 an hour to own that tractor. Now that's without an operator running it, that's without maintenance, that's without the attachments, the insurance, all the other accessories, but $53 is what our operating cost on that machine was. So the brush cutter, I want to say was like a $475 an hour cost is what it costs us. Implements, you take a third of the engine's hours and divide them. That's how you figure out approximately how many hours are on a implement when we trade them in. It's about a third of the engine hours. So if we did a third for the boom mower and then a third for the brush cutter is kind of how we come up into that. But yeah, the one was like $475 an hour is what it cost us. So, see what everything brought. But no, I'm happy how the thing went. You know, I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, you know, maybe the Massey was a little more, but then you sit there and do the math on it. I mean, it costs us $65 an hour when we were renting it in the past with a boom mower, plus our guy in the cab. Well, 3-year experiment, come to find out it was still cheaper to rent it in the long run. But no, thank you, Dan. I think you guys did a great job.
That was fantastic. I did not get an answer back from MAD today about transferring proceeds from equipment sales, and I don't believe we need to be in a hurry, so this will just go in the general fund at this time. So
I would like to see the money get put into road and bridge. I know we got that county line road that's falling apart, and that means that.
I made that comment last meeting.
Yeah, but I know we need to, we were waiting on the state grant to come through. Being as the grant didn't come through, I think we need to, you know, to put that on for next month, but I'd like to see that money put towards.
that's part of our process for next year, is the 50th. Anything else about the equipment sales? If not, we'll move on to new business. The Kepple,
Yeah, no, David's on the go to meeting. Dave, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, I sent you the information about the charges that were against your escrow. Do you want to address that at all?
Yeah, thank you, Doug. Appreciate you sending that over. I just wanted to make sure that there were not charges against that escrow for things other than the plat. It's a plat escrow, but in the description sent over by Scott and the planning company, there's reference to the rezoning, which I think is unrelated, and the administrative subdivision, which again doesn't require an escrow. So I just want to get those items stripped out of there and then close the matter up.
Okay, were those deducted from the escrow, or are they just on the invoice in a separate?
They're on the invoice total, so it totals to roughly 3,500. And in there are a half a dozen references to those items. And frankly, the descriptions are pretty vague, so there may be more. I just think it needs a second pair of eyes to look through there, strip out the items that shouldn't be charged against the escrow, and then again, just close out the matter.
I think what we might need to do is have a staff meeting, have you come in, and if you have that opportunity, and go through the specific charges that are on here, and just go item by item. Would that work for you, Dave?
Well, I mean, I can pick out a couple that seem clear to me, but I think really what needs to happen is for Scott to go through there and pull out the items that are unrelated to the plat. I'm not going to be able to accurately do that based on, you know, just the little snippets he's typed in.
Okay. Yeah. I have a meeting with Scott tomorrow or Thursday. So I'll take this along and see if we can get started on that. Probably have a limited time with it, but I want to get started on that and see if you have any specific, just send them to me.
Yep.
You can mark up your copy, if you will, and then just shoot it back to me. And we'll start with that and then try to get through all of those.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks, Doug.
All right, thanks, Dave.
are you meeting here?
No, I'm meeting him down in the cities.
We will, a motion to table this till next month.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to do that. It's,
Push it on.
pardon me. I guess you could, yeah, you could.
Let's call a motion to table this one.
Motion is made to table until next month. We can get more formal information and agreement. There's a second to that motion.
Second that.
Motion been made and seconded to table the Kepple escrow refund until next month. Any further discussion? There is no further discussion. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the tabling the Kepple escrow refund next month, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next item is the long siding station special event car show. This is an annual event that the Long Siding Bar and Grill used to have. Long Siding Station is taking it over. So they have submitted their application here. I have the insurance information and their diagrams for parking and everything that were related to that. I don't have any specific
Do
questions.
you have
about
the
it.
diagrams of the parking?
Pardon me?
Do you have the diagrams?
Yeah, they have it shown on here where the parking area would be.
Because I know last year that was an issue. They were parking on both sides of the road.
Yeah, that could get, I don't know how that can be, how we can really stop that though, right? We're talking about parking on a county road, right? I don't know that,
It's just a huge liability.
this might not be convenient, but parking is legal on either side of the road there.
Did they have that, what do they call it, J turn? What do they call these?
RTI, the RTI.
Did they have those installed last year at this time, or is that something?
No, they were working on it, I think, last year.
Okay, so it might be reduced, slowing down traffic anyway with those.
Yeah, I don't know how that would impact anything.
Might want to mute a caller.
Yeah.
I know we haven't had any issues in the past. I would move to approve with a refund of the $50 application fee. I know they're just getting up and going. They've had a lot of stuff thrown at them the last year. That would be my motion.
Okay.
Waive the $50 fee.
Yeah.
I'd second that. She's working her ass off trying to get covered.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the Long Siding Station special event application and refund the special event application fee of $50. Is there any further discussion? Yes, there is no further discussion. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, give Long Siding Station their application and refund their application fee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. I believe you have seen the quotes for County Ditch 2.
Did you get all those? Dan, did you have some?
Nope, you get the one, was it just the two?
They were just two.
Daryl and Dahlheimer. Are those the only two?
In the county.
The county is starting at 14,000, but it would be spread over a 20-year period with 3% interest. Dahlheimer Trucking and Excavating bidding or quoting, I guess, $10,000. And Daryl, well, let's go, is bidding $27,790.
Peter, do you have a way to mute the?
Only question I have, and I probably should have brought it to your attention, Daryl bid on this. He was planning on taking all the material out and replacing it with new material. Do we know if Dahlheimer just planning on taking it and putting it back in?
I would assume
That Daryl's like, holy hell, how's he doing that for that? That's what the culvert costs. That's the only question I got on that. I probably should-
Yeah, the problem is we have to inform the county by Thursday, Friday.
I mean, they were given all the specs for this, so if they're going by the specs, they don't say.
Well, in that case, then I make a motion to give the bid to Dahlheimer Trucking.
Motion has been made. Is there a second to that motion?
I have a question.
I'd second that.
That, is it Brian Dahlheimer or his partners who just took over a new business name?
It says Dahlheimer Trucking and Excavating.
What do they call it now? I believe Brian is no longer in business. Don't know how long ago you got the bid, but
Bid says July 30th.
Did I hear a second?
I'd second.
Motion was made and seconded.
Brian's still in business, because if he's not, or
Right, not right, he is still in business. Austin and Clarence are pretty much taking the helm.
that was my question.
still has
Thank you.
insurance policy and everything.
Yes.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the bid from Dahlheimer
Excuse me,
Trucking and Excavating.
motion by,
Motion by Mr. Hiller, second by Mr. Cushing. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of accepting the quote from Dahlheimer Trucking and Excavating for the ditch 2 culverts, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion is carried. Just to look forward, we should put out a request for quotes for snow removal. And pretty much the same wording as past years.
Do we do it, is it 2 weeks? Or how, what is the duration that we advertise it in the paper?
well, we generally, 2 weeks is good, we can go longer than that.
Okay.
We could put it in for longer. When do you want to close that off?
I would say by October 1.
I think maybe by the end, or by next annual or quarterly meeting, or monthly meeting, the 21st of September.
Acorns are dropped, it's gonna start snowing, man.
I'm putting bids out right now, so.
So you'd nail this down in October then, right?
Yes. Yes, vote on our October meeting.
Because the time frame is a little tight to do this by the September meeting if we really want to get a good.
No, I would say by our October meeting, we need to have it booked. Because right now, guys are starting to, it's 100 degrees out, so guys are starting to get equipment purchased. There's so much of a lead time on everything right now that
We'll get it in the next.
I would move the motion to advertise it in the paper for 4 weeks. 4 weeks
With deadline, but
with the deadline of October 1.
is there a second to that motion?
Do we, I know it's gotta be in the paper to be legal, but.
Start on the 26th.
Yep.
The start of the 26th. Second 9/16. So here, the September meeting is on the 15th. I guess that would be the October meeting.
21st, isn't it?
21st. Remember, oh yeah. Okay, caught in the Wednesdays. Yeah. But it would be in, but we put it, you want to put an October 1.
It's your deadline.
Okay.
And then vote on the October meeting.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to request quotes for snow removal. Advertised for deadline by October 1st, so we would accept the bid quote on October 19th meeting. Is there any further discussion? Is there any discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Annual sign policy review and modifications.
Mr. Chairman, can I request that we actually jump out of order and jump to ditch mowing quotes that's down on the bottom of road
Sure.
report and let this gentleman get out of here a little bit earlier?
Certainly.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we had, you guys,
We're moving to ditch mowing quotes.
yep, we sent out for quotes. We got 2 quotes, one from Daryl Escrow. He does a lot of Big Lake Township, over in Fort Rock Township, that area. His quote, first cut of the year, he would do at $85 an hour. The second cut of the year, he would come in, he'd go 16 feet down into the, most of our ditches aren't that wide. There he'd charge $105 an hour. Really wouldn't know what it would cost because we don't know how many hours it's gonna take him. The way he says he works his bids is he would do it this year for that dollar amount, and then next year, the dollar amount would stay the same. So then we could just put a line item in our budget, just to make it easier for budgeting for mowing and whatnot. And then Tom Lundeen here, he does Wynett Townships. Dennis Hobchild is extremely happy with them. He came in, he's gonna do it by the mile. We've got 41 miles of road. His bid was at $62 a swap mile, which is both sides of the road. And that would be $2,542. So pretty damn cheap to have our ditches mowed.
The 9-foot cutter, 5-foot,
9-foot.
9-foot, just a 3-point side mower.
Yep, that's fine.
And he mowed for us in 2019, I believe, did a great job, and it took him about 26 hours with his mower. The hours that we used on ours with the flail mower was about 30, a little over 30 hours. So just.
Do we want to do a second mowing?
In my opinion, we need to.
Yeah.
We hit the high spots, but we need to get down in the ditch to kind of help prevent that direction.
Agreed.
Where we can.
Yeah, and then I know we did miss Baxter Road up here by the Brickton Monument. I know we did miss that. They drove down that a couple weeks ago and that's all overgrown and everything else, so. Might be, nothing bad, but it got missed the first mowing. So yeah, we do need to make a second. And then the parsnip, is that on a county road?
County road.
That was a county road, okay. I just want to make sure we're not knocking all the pollen off and.
Yeah, no, they, Tony did a good job. They got good coverage.
Okay, no, just trying to make sure we're kind of keeping some. So what was, well, let's go.
Well, let's go was $85 an hour for the first cut, 105 an hour second cut.
So 105 times 26 on average. Yeah.
Fairly close.
Yeah.
Then a couple hundred bucks.
Yeah.
No, well, let's go does a flail mower, right?
Yes.
We want to need a flail. We already made the
Or
first.
no, a disc.
I'm sorry.
What kind of mower? Does it use a
I
disc?
have a Coon, 9-foot Coon. This is fine.
Basically what I cut.
Yeah.
My ditch with. I would move the motion to go with Tom
Lundeen.
Lundeen.
I'd second that. It just seems to do a better job, that type of mower.
And it's faster.
The motion has been made and seconded to go with the ditch mowing quote of Tom Lundeen. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to accept Tom Lundeen's quote for ditch mowing at $2,542. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. You can take off if you want, unless you want to sit here for the rest of the meeting.
Oh, but it's so entertaining.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid when you want it done.
Probably after October.
I'll get your contact information to Tom.
We'll hook up.
I've got 16 others.
Yep.
Yeah. Tom will be the lead.
You can do it when it freezes. It's actually easier then. And the shoulders don't give away.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, back to the annual sign policy review and modification.
Now it's sign these here.
And EFA and
Yeah, it should be, I mean,
Randy, USA and
these are all. There's like 15 pages here.
quick summary or they for all signs.
So for this one here, this, you want to look at the sign policy now, or do you want to look at review the sign quotes? We'll look at the policy first.
Read policy first.
All right.
That's like this.
Yeah, that's it. You get one, Gene? You can do that one? Okay, so this is the same, this is the sign policy that was passed last year. It stipulates at the bottom that it should be reviewed annually as necessary to facilitate ongoing compliance. So you'll see that area that's highlighted, well, you guys have covered gray, mine's yellow. So at the bottom of in the yellow area there, it says the 2020 engineering study consisted of uncompiled material utilizing the following. It was the 2008 SP, which is our sign plan. Replacement sign plan is the current map showing the 2020 removals. Spreadsheet with field notes, field visits, emails, and phone calls between township engineer, MnDOT, and the township. 2020 traffic counts, review of seminar material on traffic control devices. Recommendations from 2018 MnDOT best practices for traffic sign maintenance and management. So that was what we're looking at adding to this.
Bill, you got a copy of that, because I don't have that.
That's
It's kind of a lightly shaded gray area
It's the
there.
gray area. So that's what we're looking at adding to that. And then also at the very bottom of the second paragraph of the second page is kind of highlighted there. Because at the time we didn't have exactly what the sign life expectancy was. Now we've got all that information. I'm thinking you guys got all that too. These are the high density prismatic. It's a 12-year performance guarantee. So those are all the measures that they use in the warranty statement from the sign manufacturer. So those signs, everything is basically warranties up this year. So at the bottom there, we added all signs will be replaced in 12-year intervals for the current manufacturer's warranties. Future sign replacement intervals may be extended as warranty times may change in subsequent years. So that's what we're looking at for modifications for the 2021 policy. Just tweaking a little bit from what we had last year. And of course, there's a lot of other things that are going to be added to that we need to discuss that. Again, some of the inconsistencies that were there. Doug, if you can give me control of this.
Right.
All right, so now I gotta share my screen.
Got it.
Nice. more bigger part of the screen. But so again, thank you. I'll enlarge it a little bit too. So this was, there was a lot of, how would we say this? Back and forth between myself and Todd last year on all this. I've got the old sign, the old plans that was here from 2009, 2008, in which the township, for some reason, was looking at all the signs, and they didn't need to be looking at the county signs, which we had talked about last year. So in order to get the signing plan set up for the next go around, whoever's going to be reviewing signs this year or next year, it was, if you guys can read the very bottom there, it says, excuse me, county signs are not the responsibility of the township and should be disregarded and crossed off of the original mapping. This statement was found in the Township Annual Sign Maintenance and Inspection Program Instructions to Townships, page 1, and is represented by the symbol on the map. So all those signs that you saw, that you see on this sheet, were signs that our township was spending time in looking into, and we didn't need to. So everything that's in red is not our responsibility. The ones that are left without any check marks or X's are the ones that are actually the township's responsibility. So let's see here.
So the check marks represent township signs?
The green check mark are the ones we removed.
Yes. So that's for the north and the south. So if you look at the check marks, like Dan just mentioned, the signs that were removed in 2020 in accordance with resolution 2020-14 are represented by the symbol on the map. So these are the ones that we removed are on the check marks. That's the north end. That's the south end. Some of the inconsistencies that were out there, like I talked about, and the other ones I'll be bringing up here, some of the roads that have dead end signs, dead ends are not required. And that's kind of in the next memo that's out there. But this is currently what the plan set look like. Some of the signs that were missing and not on the plan sheets were primarily in the area, if you can see my cursor, there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're in this area over here, over by Pike Industrial Park, along 33rd Avenue. So what I've done is I've generated a subsequent plan that I'd like to add to the plan sheet. So these signs were not in our plan inventory. So you'll see over on Balsam Lane, there's a dead end sign, stop sign. These signs along here, along 33rd, are, again, these are higher ADT. These are, I think our ADT on this particular road was 459. So these are signs that are actually in place that did not show up on these signs on this plan set. So all I'm asking is I'm just going to be submitting that this plan sheet be added to our 3-ring binder, because one thing that they were not on also, this is all the signs that were within the township, and the comments is why they're removed and why we're keeping them. So at the bottom here, again, they were not on our plans. So if you look at rows 167 through 176, if you notice, I labeled them S1, S2. These are basically supplemental signs that, again, were there but weren't being tracked. And at the bottom of this, these were all the signs that were removed that were not on the official list, nor was there a resolution found approving them in the township. So this is all that we've done and removed last year. And so all I'm doing here is just explaining what the next steps are for the resolution for this year. One of the things that is in your packet, it talks about, it's the August 2021 memo. Supplemental signing plan sheets. That's if we need them. If you guys decide we want to do this, I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Sorry. You guys have that in front of you? It's this one, the August 2021 memo.
Oh, that wasn't. That wasn't the one that got emailed.
Yeah, that was that late email that came out.
Okay, I'll put that on the screen. Let's see here.
Your copy still.
Yeah. Please. I can't find it here.
Yeah, mine's loading.
Did you get this? You guys got this though, right?
Yeah.
This mapping. Okay.
Right there.
So this memo is going to be added to the 3-ring binder to just document what's been done. You'll notice at the top, I just covered to address the issue of needing to add a supplemental signing plan mapping for current streets as part of SP 48070.02, plan sheets number 106 and 107 and 120. Portions of section 20 east of 169 and portions of section 21 west of 82nd Avenue did not accurately reflect the signs that were in place as part of the Princeton Township sign inventory. So plan sheet supplemental 1 of 1 is going to be added. You guys are okay with that? Let's see if I can find it. So this is the plan sheet that I had already talked about. So it should be up on your screen. We'll add that as part of the plans. And then additional dead end or no outlet signs. The other item to be addressed in this memo is to cover the inconsistencies that the signing plan had in relation to dead end signs. There are 19 dead end signs included in the plan set. One thing, MN MUTCD Part 5 volume for low volume roads. Dead end signs are not required. However, providing practical information to drivers and alerting them to the road's condition. Only the dead end roads that are over, and we can decide what we want. If we want it over 500 feet or over 600 feet in length, we're chosen to have dead end signs.
So we're either looking at putting up 12 dead end signs or pulling them all. Is that so everything's consistent?
I didn't have any, that's what we're trying to figure out what we want to do. So that this plan set that you guys have in front of you, you got all these now. These are all the locations that were missing dead end signs. So 65th didn't have it. Said everywhere else had these. And you'll notice the length I have documented there is 1,600 feet. Following one is Brickton Road towards Thomas's, that's 800 feet long. So those two would be ones that I'm proposing that we keep. And then the page 3 shows the south half of the township. And I think there's 10 there.
So the purpose of a dead end road,
The sign?
Yeah, I mean, be honest, I could care less if there's one at the end of the driveway or not. I mean, you get 3 cars a year that come in the driveway that turn around. I'm more worried about the residential because I'm looking off of Alpha Road, I'm looking off of by Moonshine there. Out of curiosity, is it more for freight trucks? Is it more for delivery drivers? Who needs to know? I mean, it's the fire trucks, so the fire trucks know there's no outlet? Is it?
Well, that's kind of what
That's why we have Joey. You know where every road is.
That's why they have the min-month CD. That's why they talk about it. It's not required. It's just for giving practical information for, I would think anybody coming off of 95, you know, bigger trucks that might go in there. I was just looking at ones where you couldn't see the end of the road. You don't end up turning down there and all of a sudden now they're stuck in a lot of our dead-end roads don't have to turn around. So,
I mean, fire trucks, I mean, help me out. I'm trying to think public safety aspect. If you're in an ambulance, if you're in a fire truck, do you look at those signs when you see it? Oh crap, we gotta figure out a way to turn around, or is it?
Pretty much know where we're going before we leave. So
Okay,
in my personal opinion, they're not bad.
no, that's where I'm just looking, you know, who's the information for?
Yeah, because even over by Green Lake was at 327, that dead ends on both sides, and then there's about a 200-yard stretch there that you can't get through, and I got caught in that once.
But not in a fire truck.
so
I was in a grass truck.
we can leave it as is or we can add a few, or we can, whatever we do, I'm going to modify what this memo says, what we decide. Just again, to keep a paper trail so we can have it documented.
I personally don't, I don't see the need for throwing dead end signs up. I mean, the only reason I'm thinking dead enders coming off of 169 and Jeep signs is for big trucks with trailers. GPS says you gotta go there. That's, I don't know, that's.
The only other, I think we were saying, you know, the residential areas to keep, you know, people from unwanted traffic in the area. This one here on 76th, it's only 400 feet, so this one wasn't planned because you can see the end of the road from 7th Street. The other one, same with 7th here. So number 10 would be the only one that I think. Okay, hold on, I'll just stick with 10. This one goes back into a housing development there. And instead of putting a dead end at the red dot, we put a no outlet at the beginning, at the entrance, just to let people know that there's no outlet there. That's what was done up in the Den High area. And then this one on 19th Street, the sign is there, but it doesn't show up on the plan set at all. And then the other one is Audubon Road. You can't see the end of the road from County Road 1. Again, those are residential areas. Zone residential. So we can make that determination too. We can put that in the documentation that it was determined that we'll put dead end signs in residential areas, but not in the ag gravel road.
Because I don't see.
Or leave it like it is.
I'd be more so on the residential side. I mean, like it says, a half dozen times a year, if someone comes into mine, they turn around or they back all the way up. And I just don't see the ag side. You got room to turn around. The residential side, I could see getting pinched and
usually going a little faster.
Yeah, or if you got a trailer on and you're going in there and you see a no outlet, well, then you kind of know to prep.
And I guess we can, while you're thinking about that, we can look at the actual estimates or lowest the quotes that came in for the signs. I know at one point we talked about just doing all the signs in half this year and half next year. The quote from EFA was the lowest. And if you do half this year and half next year, it's about $1,000. Actually, there are two companies that gave us two quotes, and it's about $1,000 more if we do them in two separate years versus just doing it in one. So a half year, a full year, I mean, a full order for all signs is $4,600, $678. That's the low quote. It's on the page, page 3. Yeah. Yeah, that's the half order. And then MR signs was the next one that came in at $5,494. And then sign solutions was $6,600.
And these quotes included adding?
It did not include those. So what that would mean, it would be the dead end sign is about $48. So depending on how many we do, figure another $50 per sign. We already have the posts.
Well, if you have a state standard, we have to lower them.
Well, I get, Gene, I guess the thing is when talking with Todd about this, because it's not a required sign, we can write this how we want. We can just say that we're only adding dead end signs and a no outlet sign to the residential areas. Longer than
Pick and choose where you're putting signs now.
Longer than 500 feet.
Right. I guess there's probably half a dozen of them that just seem like they would be ridiculous to even put up.
Yes. Just putting it out there for everybody.
What's that?
I was just putting it out there for everybody, you know, for you guys to all know.
I mean, if somebody turns into what Vegas's driveway, it'd be pretty obvious that that's a dead end.
Is there a driveway on there? Oh, you're talking.
Going right across from or just north of the Lutheran church.
Oh, okay.
The one to the south has from the Zion Church, that one south, I know there's a house on kind of a dead end, kind of horseshoe cul-de-sac there. That one has a dead end sign.
Yeah.
But the one across the street does not?
No. That's what I'm talking about. There was a lot of inconsistencies in this plan set.
Because if I'm not mistaken, that road ends up into a field.
Under the
house on that road, right?
65th? No, there's a T, there's a house on the left and the right, and there's a couple on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Well, you can see it right there, page.
I'm looking at the front page here, that loop around.
Right here. I also have the subsequent match right next to it.
This is just for the sign. This isn't including installation.
No, so in the installation we would do is probably something that our employees can do. So, according to the last time it was done back in 2008, considerably more expensive to have a contract to it. And any of these that we're replacing their with signposts that are in place. So it's just basically removing the placard and putting new ones on. So maybe the first decision we should look at is looking at the policy in general. Are we good with making these modifications to what Todd, this is something that he and I worked together on?
I don't know. An awful lot of residents here that aren't happy about some signs taking up. And And you guys can go back and check the meeting. Last year, when I found out we took down stop signs and yield signs, I admitted in an open meeting, I screwed up, I missed that. We got a lot of residents here that aren't happy. Do we need to relook at the stop signs and the yield signs? I mean, we're looking at maybe adding some dead end signs. I mean, this has been going on long enough. I'm not crazy. I honestly, I don't care about the speed limits. I'm simply drive the damn speed limit anyways. But I think we at least owe it to some of our residents that came in. When's the last time we've had this many people in a meeting? Whether they're related to Greg or not is completely irrelevant. They're still residents of the township. Do we need to reconsider stop signs and yield signs?
And how many would we be looking at?
How many did we take down?
Well, we can't just throw what we took down. We gotta get everything back up standard. So we're talking a whole new traffic study probably, I think adding things like that.
But we had a lot of signs that were
The last traffic study,
yield signs halfway up somebody's driveway.
Well, I don't disagree with all the signs of it, but like I say, I mean, I told you this when we were doing the inspection, that if we have enough residents come in and voice their displeasure on it, that is our due diligence as the board, and I'm not picking sides on this, I'm just asking you guys, do you think this merits taking a second look? I mean, this has been the shit going on Facebook, in the newspapers, all the bullshit we've been dealing with the last year, there's definitely some people pissed off. Do we need to take a second look at it?
I think we do. Residents are the people that elected us,
They're the ones paying the bills, I mean,
and it's their taxpayer money.
I don't know. But I think if we're definitely gonna contemplate adding dead end signs, there's no way you'll ever convince me a dead end sign is more important than a stop sign.
No.
I mean, you get used to them being there, all of a sudden they're gone, and then
Some of that, I
stop.
disagree with a little bit there too, because how many people do you know that come to a full stop on a country gravel road and look both ways before they pull out? Virtually nobody.
I still think it's a liability.
But
I mean, I can understand them if there was never a stop sign there, but to remove a stop sign and not to replace it, that's just, you're putting the public in harm's way.
Personally, if we went through this much work to figure out what we took down, at the same time, you know, we went through trying to reduce our overall signs. And there's half these signs up here you can't even read.
No, not true.
No.
They would never pass a reflectivity test.
Not true. You don't have nothing.
What's that?
Not Minneapolis.
And just a post sitting there.
Let's keep it a little rural too, with how we can address
Vintage.
common sense shit.
Yeah, and that's, you know, where the one stop sign come out, you know, there's 3 houses on the end of it.
What does it matter?
Well, I'm just, you know,
What about the street going by in front of it? You gotta have some direction where it stops and where it goes.
you know,
If you put a stop sign here, the other street knows they got the right of way. You take the stop sign out, who has the right of way?
This is the board meeting.
That's just the point.
Back to the board meeting.
I mean, the dead ends, I can question that. You know, to go through and, you know, we took the signs out. We spent the time figuring out what to come out and what's duplicate, what's not needed. I don't know, it's damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
We followed guidelines that are set down by, tell me what's the acronym?
MnMUT. See, yeah, that's the Minnesota Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That's what was followed.
And I'm not arguing that we didn't follow guidelines. I mean, if that, we followed guidelines, great. But we've got residents that aren't happy about it. I mean, where does the line come from, okay, are we gonna go by the guidelines or are we gonna listen to the people that are paying the bills in the township?
I mean, I'm not gonna open ourselves up for liability too.
Well, absolutely. I mean,
Why don't you pay to have an actual study done instead of just going off of what you read or an engineer's verbal permission?
A complete study and what signs need to be replaced, what signs should be removed, what signs should be added. I never got a document saying that. It was just
The
here.
sign plan was reviewed by Todd and Bill. It was sent to MnDOT. It was reviewed by a number of people. It wasn't just Bill arbitrarily coming up.
Was that all
with
for free then?
What's that?
You didn't have to pay for any of that review?
No, it was paid for by the,
Where's the receipts for that? You guys came through.
Todd never laid it out specifically. He sends us a bill. He doesn't lay out, he doesn't itemize. He sends us a bill based on number of hours that he's working for the township. And
When was that done?
I've talked to him, Bill's talked to him over and over again. The attorneys talked to him. The road plan, the sign plan was all done by Bill and Todd and ran through the attorney. That's the way we established what was going to happen. As Bill became the road supervisor, we all put that in his hands. He did a tremendous job of creating a plan that's never been done before. You go back in 2008, the plan that was done it was done kind of, I didn't know how it was done. I was on the board, but we never got to vote on it. We never looked at any of it. It was just, oh, we're gonna put up these signs. That was it. There was no input from the board members. There was no input from the community. That's why they put up 110 of those signs at the township's grant onto the county roads. It was illegally done then. It was
How could it be done legally if it was?
you look back in history, it was done illegally.
Didn't they use grant money to do it though?
What?
Didn't you say they used grant money to do it?
It was done by grant money, but it was
It
done,
couldn't have been done illegally if they were using state or federal.
well, it was not done legally if they were putting township funds onto county roads.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen with grant money.
It was done by a combination of a board member, not Greg, and the county engineer.
So the grant didn't require anything beforehand, they could just take the money.
We never
and put
saw it.
signs up?
We never saw it. We knew we had a grant. We were given so much money. We paid for we had all these signs go in. We were not told where it was going.
How do you
Why was
vote
it
on
done
something you
anyway?
don't, I mean, you know what I mean?
That's the way the board was run back then. There were two people that ran the boards. The other three of us were followers.
If you read the meeting minutes that are posted back to 13, the meetings lasted approximately half an hour top end.
Well, currently, you still have residents who have concerns. So let's talk about now, not then. What do we do now?
You have no problem spending money on an attorney. Why don't you spend money on a study? A real study. Find out what exactly the township needs, not what Bill and the engineer think. Somebody real.
So let me ask this, if the study comes back and we remove more signs, what are you gonna say to that?
Great, if it's an actual study, not your opinion, I like it.
It's not, it wasn't an
If there's
opinion,
a paper
based on.
trail and you have documentation for public review, then fine. But it needs to be done above board.
All right, let's get back to it's a board meeting. Board members. What's the direction we wish to take?
I would move the motion to do another sign study.
Who do we have do the study?
I move the motion that John Wilhelm take this over.
There's one motion, we can't have a second.
Yeah.
Motion has been made to do a sign study.
Unless somebody else would like to.
You can move it to make an amendment to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a second to the motion to do a sign study?
Do we know where it's I know nothing about this. I got no clue who we call.
That's why I'm saying, who's gonna do the study? That's why I asked.
The motion was made to do a sign study. Is there a second to the motion?
They've got questions, Gene. Who's gonna second it when they're still asking questions?
Then we have to wait for the second.
Well,
We gotta wait for the second one.
It's motion, second, discussion.
Okay, Doug, thank you.
That's how it works. Okay, that's how it works. Motion, second, discussion.
What if nobody seconds?
And
And the motion
then it
fails.
dies for lack of second. And it's a board meeting, not an open meeting. Let the board work.
Is there a second to the motion? It's called 3 times, the motion dies for lack of second.
I would motion to table all of this and put John Wilhelm in charge of researching and coming to the board next month on who we would call and ballpark prices of what it would cost to have this re-looked at. Because this does not need to be done tonight.
Motion has been made to table this and direct John Wilhelm to,
You can use your uncle that works at the county. And you can point you in the right direction.
to get direction. How do I put this? Is there a second to the motion?
Did I hear it again?
Motion has been made to table and direct John Wilhelm to get direction on the sign study. Bring back to the next month's meeting.
I'd second that.
Motion has been made by Mr. Miller. Seconded by Mr. Whitcomb. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to table this and direct John Wilhelm to get direction on the sign studies and bring it back at next month's meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. In that case, we'll also be putting your new sign quotes, will also be put on the same thing.
I'll just make a motion to table this review sign quotes. Making a decision on that.
And this quotes expired 15 days. I think they would probably reconsider them. Their motion has been made to table a new sign quote for next month. For next month, or did you say specifically? I'm sorry.
Next month's fine.
For next month, is there a second to the motion? Is there any further discussion on reviewing new signs quotes? Tabling a review of new sign quote. Is there any further discussion?
Before we should probably make some movement on at least on this, the sign policy.
That was my motion, was to table that till next month.
To table the whole thing. Okay.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of tabling the new sign quotes for next month, signify by saying aye. And opposed, no. Motion carried. Road report, self-boring locations.
Yeah, so we had probably 13 locations that we looked at when we were out on the road review that were kind of sinkholes, kind of low spots. And Todd was saying from past incidents, a lot of those were trees that were buried in the road. So he was thinking the best thing to do at this point is just to get enough soil borings for a 2 to 5 year plan, so which is 3 more on the south end of 50th Avenue. Or 50th Avenue.
How long are these soil borings good for?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, they're.
The composition isn't gonna change as time goes on with the substructure.
Not within the time we're talking.
Because I just know on a field, it's a yearly, you probe a field once a year and the crack.
Well, they're actually gonna be doing borings, so they're gonna get the soil Well,
Way
10,
underneath.
12 feet.
That bottom structure doesn't change down.
You go south of my place, take a right, and you go back to the west. There's a little portion that goes back there. Did we do soil borings back there?
We didn't. No, we haven't in the last 2 years, but those are the areas that have.
That's got some pretty nasty spots. I can't remember the road name, but that had some pretty bad spots where we thought there was stuff buried under the road.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
And it's just that same, it's trees and stuff that they threw in there when they were.
Borings there right now.
He said, no, he said it's not gonna. It's not really financially beneficial to. It's just a spot, like 50th is, it's a stretch, several hundred feet that's affected, so we need to have an idea of what's happening. So, I didn't get a price on those 3 borings, but I think last year he had 3 of them done at maybe $1,800, I think. But I'll look into it more and come back. It'd be nice to get those done before we start looking at what we're gonna do on 50th. So we should look at doing that this fall sometime. So that Todd has that information for it.
Now, when they did 33rd and 82nd, did Todd pull those before it got done? Did the paving company do, I forget, refresh my memory. Who took the borings on those roads?
That was done beforehand. I contacted a company out of St. Cloud. And we had those borings
Okay,
done.
okay. So it wasn't the paving company coming through, they're just literally laying in a
Sell company, yeah.
Okay.
So that was all part of the bid.
Yep.
So we'd like a motion to proceed with some soil boring locations. That,
Well, I think once I get a quote next month, yeah, I can get a quote and then we'll decide on which ones. It's just those 3 on 50th.
so we can just move on for the time being.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to supervisor reports.
John,
I wasn't at the meeting.
supervisor reports.
Yeah, I wasn't at.
Oh, okay, okay, I didn't look at anything else.
Nope.
My only thing I brought up a couple times, Baxter Road, driving out a couple weeks ago, we did miss Baxter Road the first time when we went through and cut, so it'll take a little extra time when he does that. It's not bad, it's just overgrown. And then I just received a call from the resident that spoke at the open forum about someone living in her shed, so that's all I've got.
Thursday, I have a meeting with the city and townships regarding broadband for using the American Rescue Fund's dollars. Saturday, I have an informal meeting with the city in Baldwin. I need to know what they have planned. Tomorrow night is District 8 meeting. I guess that we did not have a city planning commission meeting. And I missed the airport meeting. Is there anything?
Barry, what happened at the airport meeting?
Did they set a date for having that joint meeting?
End of August on the paving project.
What's that?
End of August on the paving project, it's gonna start.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Because we have to have members of the township, both townships, the city and both counties.
I forgot, I do have a meeting at noon on Thursday with the school superintendent and the city, Lee Steinbrecher, what's his position?
Lee Steinbrecher?
Yeah, about the school, they're proposing a new referendum coming up.
Oh, no, Lee's just running a campaign for the yes, and then
Okay,
the superintendent will explain where the plans and funding
Okay.
is going.
but we have a meeting with them on Thursday. They're meeting with a bunch of area farmers to kind of address what they're planning and how it's gonna affect the taxes.
No fire board meeting for the planning commission for us. No action were brought to us this meeting. They're getting close to finishing up on the side setbacks and building side stuff, and they're just about done with the sign policy. They should be getting ready to move forward to an open meeting for that, or open public hearing for that shortly.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, just a couple more things. So Brickton Road has been completed, all the paving's done, gravelling's done, and they just finished today with the plug and fill that culvert that was pulling in material. And then I've met with Bogus Brook and Wynette to go over the shared road agreements. So those two townships are looking at what they have not. Hope to have the meetings done with the other townships here by the end of the month, so that we'll have those ready for possibly signature next month. But I think they want to meet with other board members at the same, at least one or two of us. And then complaints, just cul-de-sac at the north end at 95th. Just needed some grading to be done, so that was completed. That's all I asked.
Started to call it Treasury Road. When was the last time I was there? I don't know, I'm sure my dad was that fall, so it's pretty challenging.
That was done in the not a little over a week ago.
Okay, it was,
Yeah.
they got it done after I drove, because I went to show the old.
Yeah, that road washboard is fast. I don't know if we got to put new gravel and chloride it, if I think just put gravel on it.
It's right.
Well, it's not something to do right now.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's 17th?
Yeah.
But no, that road is washboarded pretty bad.
Are there any other items that can properly come before this meeting?
Yes, we got this in our packet, Mille the Princeton Township for 1,052, is that the road tax?
No.
Nope.
That's
That's
the
the state. This is the state allocation.
Okay.
next year's 11 award.
Okay, that's just kind of for information. Okay.
Is there any other business probably come before the meeting? If not, motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second, 9:50.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried.
This conference will now be recorded.
It's like a T. Yeah.